Hi all, thank you so much for finding time and joining us for the F&B Talks by the Restaurant Times. F&B Talks is a knowledge series through which we bring together people who seek a deeper understanding of the worlds of restaurant. Our aim is to build a knowledge base on the finer nuances of running a restaurant business. Today we have with us a very special guest. His name is Brian Joseph. He's the founder and managing director at Taprobane Hospitality. Brian is a Sri Lankan. He's an hospitality entrepreneur, an investor, a consultant, a marketer, a trainer, and a motivational speaker with over 20 years of experience in the hospitality industry. He has worked in several world-renowned hospitality organizations, including the Best Western Hotels, Berjaya Hotel and Resort, Oberoi Hotel and Resorts, and SITA Travel Group, covering across Asia and Middle East markets. He's also worked with Asia's one of the oldest hotel groups called the Gallifreys Hotel Group, established in 1864 in Sri Lanka. Today, Brian is a successful hospitality entrepreneur. He's a founder of few hospitality startup companies, namely Taprobane Hospitality, BWJ Hotel and Resorts, and the island of Ceylon travel and tourism company, as well as a few of them. Uh, Brian is also the proud founder of Sri Lankan Hospitality Professionals Association and the We Care Charity Foundation. Welcome to FNB Talks, Brian. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I first of all have to thank FNB Talk for having me here today in your meeting, and it was a great honor and pleasure. I've been able to give an opportunity to talk to you and to all my colleagues around the world. And first of all, as you know, we are just going through a huge pandemic, and I wish and pray everybody will, recover this as soon as possible. And during our talks, we will see how we survive, and we can still run a sustainability business in hospitality.
Absolutely. Brian, so I think you rightly pointed out on some of the points that you mentioned. We are going through a tough time. The industry is going through a tough time, and you being somebody who has watched the industry all over these years across formats, across sectors, and now you're also running your own business in different domains. We definitely want to understand more from you as to how you have seen the transition of the industry over these years, and how do you think we can make businesses more human, more sustainable going forward? So I think my first question, Brian, to you would be that we talk about communication. I want to understand that today we are living in a contactless world. A lot of things have changed because of the pandemic. Technology has completely taken away that human touch and feel what it was, in the hospitality sector earlier. So how do you think, we need to build communication in such a way where we still maintain the human touch between the servers, between the guest in the restaurant setup, or as well as in the hotel setup? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, to start with, it's a very good question. Let me say from the beginning. Uh, See, we all wanted to, have this, we call this touchless, contactless. We can use any terminology. But the main thing, mainly it's involved with technology. So the first thing, it should not be like, it should not be very expensive. Meaning, if it's very expensive, we cannot afford it. I mean, the technology should be affordable to everybody, because across the industry we are not talking about only 5 stars or any 4 star, 3 star, 2 star, or 1 star for that matter, in a guest house, or even going to dine in small restaurants. They should be able to afford to buy the whatever the technology is available. It should not be expensive. The second thing I think is, it should not be complicated. Most of the softwares, or the whatever the solution that the IT provides, sometimes it's not connecting to the proper industry. For example, in a hospitality, because we don't deal with machines or robots, we deal with humans. Hospitality is all about dealing with humans. So there should be a little bit of touch, that where that they feel that this is not a auto robot, or this is not an auto response. It's somebody else talking to me. So it should not be complicated. At the same time, it should be very user friendly, not only to as in entrepreneur or a owner of a business, to a client based level. Like, if you go to a hotel or you go to a restaurant to dine in, and you have this touchless notepads or whatever you call it, and you have this app where you can make your booking, prior booking, and before you go to the hotel, and how you feel like when you're using it. Is it user friendly? Is it complicated? It has so many questions to ask. Then people might get bored with it, or they can even get frustrated. For example, guy is he's hungry and he just walking into a restaurant, and you have this set of forms to be like, you have to touch it so many times and ask so many varieties of questions. he can he can get frustrated. So it should be more as I told you from the beginning, it should be not complicated, it should be user friendly. And the last point, which I just explained you, example, that it should not be difficult at all, because most of the solution that I see, which is available locally in the market, which we do source from Asia, this part of the world, where we live in Middle East, and I see some of the time, it's very difficult, those softwares to install. Then you have this license issues, and then they have so many requirements. I mean, right now with COVID, with this pandemic, I think that should not be the case. They should be freely available, and it should be, easy to understand, even to a business owner, to the customer. And every time, the last point that I always wanted to explain to my clients and all my suppliers of technology, I tell them, please try to make sure that you have that human touch when it comes to hospitality. People should feel that I'm talking to somebody that who has human feelings. There are sometimes requests personally. If you see, when you come to a hotel, you cannot expect the technology or your booking a form or a tab that you book to give you all what you want. There will be some uh, requirements that client might forgot to inform you in advance. Okay, you cannot be strict to say, oh no, this is the system, you already booked it. You cannot do that. You have to be more flexible also, like being flexible, being listening to the client, being more to his requirements, being close to his requirements. He might feel that we are dealing with the right hospitality industry, with the right people. It's not like any rocket science or anything, or it's not that like it's a book that it's written, and you cannot change any rules and regulation. Especially during pandemic, you have to be very friendly with the client, and you need to understand his background, where he's coming from. Right now, we are running many quarantine facility hotels, and we provide food from the restaurant, all three meals like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and different nationalities. We have the contactless basic forms, and the requirements, so you can do it to easily, like WhatsApp, and we have contacts with the reception where we don't go to the room. So we have our own system. They can order their meals and everything, but we make sure that they get the right meal. Even though they order, sometimes we ask them, are you sure you want to have this meal, or do you want to add something extra? It's not you can say, oh no, this is what you ordered from the system. Like, I mean, we are not going to be flexible with you. And especially during pandemic, it is very difficult when you do room service. We have so many nationalities, different nationalities. So in the kitchen, it's like it's like a tug of war between room service and the kitchen, and you need to give the food to the client on time. So we have a certain technology used, certain time limits used in the restaurant and the room service, so that we don't delay the food to the client, and same time that we make sure that we give to them on time, so that there won't be complaint. So once again, to summarize my answer again, the technology should not be very expensive. It should be it should be reachable for everybody in any industry, not only in hospitality. This pandemic had affected many industries. So same time, it should not be complicated and it should not be difficult, and of course, it should be user friendly. I mean, it should be very user friendly so that they will not find difficult to access you.
No, absolutely. I think you've very aptly summarized the entire question that I basically asked you. I think you spoke a lot about how do you uh, maintain a great relationship with the guests and making sure that they are comfortable even though we are embracing these new tech innovations. My next question is basically on the staff side. What is your take on how do you keep your staff, your team members motivated and are also able to build a more thriving working environment within your within your hotel. It would be great if you can share some examples of how you are doing that with your hotel at the present in Beirut.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a great question, especially, talking about during pandemic. This is a too difficult part, I think, that you need to clarify, you need to be very careful with, especially staff motivation. I mean, let's talk about staff motivation, then we will talk about building a thrilling work environment. Staff motivation, it should come through you first, as a leader. Because myself, I always, I mean, I want my staff to look at me like a leader, not as a boss. So I always be with them. I go to their department and I sit with them, especially during pandemic. I know there are so many industry right now today have gone for salary cuts, job losses. Billions of people lost their job during pandemic, and last 2 years been a very difficult time period for everybody, especially for the employees. So during this time, keeping staff motivated is one of the difficult tasks, purely because a lot of I know my industry friends, they have had salary cuts, not only job loss, salary cuts, and some people are not receiving their salary. There's no business at all. So it is a quite challenging task to keep them motivated. So what I do is in my company, thank God that last 5 months, I mean, we are running okay. I mean, we are just trying to get our bearings and just to keep on running the business. So I target staff's individual level. I go to them. I find out. Even I hire few people. They have a lot of issue back, not having a proper job, not having visas. This part of the world, visa is very important. So you have to make sure that they get the proper work visas. And I always tell them, I mean, as a management company, we need to get the basics right. I think last time when we had a conversation, I was talking about hospitality industry. We need to go back to our basics. I mean, we think we want to develop so many things on different level, but I think right now during pandemic, please, I request all my colleagues, let's go back to basics. And we don't need to do any much miracle during this time. We just need to be human to our staff and to our guests. So we need to show them that we care for them, in a one-to-one basis. And same time, you need to give motivating is doesn't happen only from your side. You need to give them little trust also, so that they get motivated by that. And you have to show them the big picture. You need to show them how you do the business. You need to show them how we are moving around, how the business is coming, what is happening around the world, how the customers are coming to you. It can be a hotel or restaurant. Show him the big picture. He needs to understand also what exactly you are going through. So it's a one-to-one basis, and always be open. I always have open door policy and transparency. So I don't mind any staff of mine coming and asking, what you're doing, and I mean, how much you are making money. We are having business, what's going on. I don't mind sharing that information, which I do already. Honestly speaking, every month, we have this one day that we celebrate for, yesterday I did it, for all the birthdays of the staff, we have a small party get together, and then we have trying to work out on the employee of the month and encouraging them. And plus we have this sales meetings, and we tell them like basically what's going on in the hotel, what you're going to face. So same time, like we give them to achieve small goals so that they feel they are part of the team, and recognizing, giving them rewards, like, the employee, just to keep them, motivated. And I always give them the feedback, regular feedback. Even in my WhatsApp status, I make sure that every client, when he posts a good review in Google review or TripAdvisor, I share with all of my team. I have a WhatsApp group, and I make sure that I tell, well done, guys. Small things do affect. It makes them more motivated. And of course, you need to be make sure it's those days are gone that you can be very tough with your staff. You have to make them feel relaxed. They also like the same like the guest. We use the tagline saying our hospitality makes you home. So you have to do the same thing to your staff also. They should feel that it's home, like home. They are very relaxed. They are not being pressurized. It's very important. You know, and that is what I like. One of the greatest motto which Starwood Hotels, like Ritz Carlton, used to have: "We are ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen." I love that. So it gives the staff what he wants exactly. He knows who he is and who he is serving to. So now going back to the second point, like having a thriving work environment, you know, uh, you have to show them that there is future for you. If you work hard, you do the right thing. It's not about always we talk about incentives, promotions, or the next level. Uh, you need to make sure that he's worth it. He's a real team member. He's your family member. When you make him feel that, that drives him to, go to the next level. That keeps him motivated. That keeps him to work as a team, to work as a family. That it is very important. It's not only your client, your guest. Your staff should feel that they are family. It's part of you. You are part of the family. You are a member of family. So you treat him also the similar way. Like, if I take as a father's figure, I need to know what's my children are. How I treat them at home, how flexible I can be. This is uh, this makes them more feel comfortable and happy, motivated to be with the team. And finally, uh, make sure that you suggest them and you commit them a lifelong learning through you. They look at you as a leader and they follow you, so that you make sure that they are with you.
Right.
That's how it works. I mean,
Right.
they,
No, absolutely. There are some really interesting words of wisdom that you have shared. So, Brian, my next question would be, tell me a little bit about your hotel right now in Bahrain. Uh, how, give me an idea about the operations. Give me an idea about, how old is the setup, and how the business has been progressing over these years. Would be curious to know about it. We have been reading some really interesting reviews about Moon Plaza on Google, and last time when we spoke, you shared that how proactively a lot of people would come and write some really great things about you, about the staff, about some really smaller experiences which made their day when they were staying at your hotel. Give me an idea about the setup and how that happens actually.
okay, uh, great. Um, I mean, it's related to your second question, how you keep your staff motivated and good. Okay, now coming back, my latest project right now, where I am at what I'm doing is Moon Plaza Hotel. It's situated in Umalasan, in Manama, in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And it's a 3-star hotel, and we have 60 rooms. Of course, we are registered under for quarantine, so under the NHRA, National Health Bahrain, Kingdom of Bahrain, and with the collaboration with Al Hilal Hospital in Bahrain. So we accommodate quarantine passengers, basically guests who come to the kingdom, and of course some travel to our neighboring country, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So they just don't travel on a sort of a holiday. Their travel is totally different, as you know. Quarantine is a compulsory thing, so you have to be careful. We need to make sure that the hotel is well clean, and it is following all the rules and regulation of Ministry of Health, and of course to the NHRA levels and to the hospital guidelines. So it's a pretty difficult task, but thanks to God that with the proper training, proper information across the board with my teams, that they are able to maintain that required requirements, and especially for the quarantine. I mean, we see a lot of clients coming from different part of the world, from Egypt, from Asia, from India, and these people have to be taken care of very carefully because they don't move out from the room. So it's like they stay the whole 10 days or the 14 days of the time period of the quarantine full time inside the room. So you have to make sure that they get proper internet. Nowadays internet is a very big requirement, more than it's like more than a meal. Clients start complaining, so you need to have fast internet, good internet. You need to make sure that you have proper TV channels, and you have a comfortable room, bed, and proper sanitized environment to live with, especially, and to make sure that you get your deliver their rooms on meals on time to the rooms, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the main thing that I should say that I am a little bit different because the service that I give, I go to the extent of trying to give them their own national foods. We have a lot of people sitting from sometimes Bangladesh. We will try to give them that nationality food, to make them feel home, from India, from Egypt, Arabic food, so that they feel more home, like, and they enjoy their meals. It's not easy eating on the same place 3 times for 10 days or 14 days. There can be huge influence, it's not easy to make the client happy. So we make
Correct.
that small things makes matter, life change, especially in the restaurant, food wise, and make sure that you try your level just to be flexible. As I told you, they are not here for a vacation or for anything else. They're just for a business. They're just here for quarantine. So they are like more like a family member. You have to protect him, take care of him. He should not get positive. By the way, that it is interesting statistics for me. For the last 3 months, I have had more than 300 clients. I think only 3 people were like positive. All others were negative. That means I have a 99% of success rate. That is a great achievement. And
Correct.
being like that and giving what he wants and making sure regularly asking him whether it's comfortable, he wants extra to take care of him. And this is what made me that a lot of people start writing like crazy. I always have 5-star reviews in Google review. I see a lot of people every other day they start giving comments. And same time, even when it comes to my suppliers, for example, clients, the travel agents who are the agents who are handling, I have seen as the first preference for them. So they have already told me, Brian, Moon Plaza is our first preference. We just give, So I always get full. Basically, I run 90+ occupancy, every month. It's back to back, and it's very difficult, sometimes I have clients fighting with me, Brian, why you don't have rooms always when I call you. I mean, it's been very tough situation. And at the same time, I don't try to charge more, especially for this type of passengers, purely because I am doing, actually, to be honest with you, I'm not trying to make big profit margins. I'm trying to make a break even because it's not easy to maintain and feed for 35 plus staff in a small hotel. And it's like I'm looking after their family. It's like, as I told you, they're my family. So feeding 35 plus family staff families are not easy. And you have to make sure that you run that sustainability business, that they are being fed up and they are being getting their salary on time and they are happy to work, and the business moves. It's not only for Moon Plaza Hotel. I have seen this happening around me, my neighbors, the business in my neighbors. My exchange company is very happy because he gets many currency exchanged. My cold store is very happy. So we started buying stuff from them. My laundry, the neighbor laundry, then my hardware shop, my flower shop, and the bakery. And all these guys are like, oh, Brian, thank you that you are running the place and you open the hotel and that we have business. You don't make a direct impact to your economy surrounded you, but indirectly you make few changes. That makes your business not only to say sustainability, that people really look up to you. They say, okay, this because of this hotel, this surrounded with people are having business. These type of things do take a long way to have a sustainability and to run for a long time in real business. And I have more stories of clients who went to Saudi thanking me, sending me letters, email, and saying that thank you very much for looking after me like your brother. Thank you very much for going for that extra extensions. Sometimes when they come, they go through so many difficulty. They get positive, and then they have to stay back for another 10 days. Then when they get positive, they get panic. You cannot make your client panic. You have to make sure that you make him feel home. You talk to him like your own brother or sister, and make sure that he carefully taken care of to move into a real positive quarantine facility, and make sure that he has funds to pay for that. And then then make sure that we change schedule his travel, next destination travel itineraries, like air ticket, or if he goes to, because basically from Bahrain a lot of people use the Saudi coastway. So we have to make sure that he gets the proper tickets changed, those things. Some you need to go that extra extra mile or the extra step to make him feel more comfortable. So that is how they start liking me. And I have so many stories, so many families who came and got stuck. And I went that, additional, I took that extra step to go and help them. And that made, Moon Plaza so much, famous. And, guest satisfaction, they had many guests had their satisfaction to our acts. And these are seen by my staff, and they carry the same thing, what I do, and they give the same service. So I mean, that is why Moon Plaza, it has that difference compared to other hotels, and that is what makes the secret of me being success so far.
Wonderful. Great to know about that, and and the role of how the team has been able to bring the ethos of, I would say, giving back to the society in whatever you do. I think some of the pieces that you mentioned, what I can read is that a lot of time you and the team would typically go out of the way to do something extra for your guests, which might not be a part of maybe their job responsibility or maybe what they're supposed to do, but they will make sure that they do something extra for them. Tell me about the role of such, this is slightly offbeat, but CSR has become very critical in the restaurant and the hospitality industry, where brands are expected to go out of their way, do something for the larger society which is surrounding them, for their benefit, so that there's a thriving ecosystem that they can build around their business. how do you think, brands or restaurants or, or hotels can give back to the community? And have you been also involved in some of the CSR initiatives? Can you talk us about that to us?
Yes, that's a very good question, especially during this time, pandemic. You have to be very responsible with what you do. You know, this pandemics, it taught us how if you harm the environment, if you harm the world, what can you get in return? You know, you have to be very careful. Uh, this is almost related to the next last question that you asked. It's sustainability. When you say sustainability, it comes with saying that eco-friendly, go green. This terminology being used, regularly. Yeah, of course. It's not rocket science. Also, again, as I told you, you can go through so many points and so many things online. You can do research. There will be a lot of talking about amenities, talking about energy savings, choosing the right products, doing the right thing, partnering with the global leaders who thinks about sustainability, co-friendly, going green. You can do many things. Now, when it comes to CSR, corporate social responsibility, again, as I told you, you have to be keep in mind there are main points. Like for example, there are views on ethical issues. You have to make sure that it is ethical and it is into your moral standards. We have some of the corporate social responsibility that we are addressing, that it has to be into that your ethical and moral standard. And there are views which you talk about environment aspects, that you have to make sure that you minimize its impact, whatever what you do, it minimize the impact of the environment. It always helps the environment. That's to keep us safe, to have a cleaner energy. All these things. And then, of course, there are views CSR is into social excellence. For example, not to have a negative effect on the values of social excellence. This is very important. I see some of the CSRs that affect people, personal views, religious views, and political views. It should not be into that level. You have to be very careful. Of course, what type of CSR projects you are going to do, and how it's going to affect you, your image, your company, everything. And obviously, the last one, what I always see, end of the day, the economy, how it's going to affect the economy. You need to always follow a better standard operation procedure to emerge environment technologies, so that environment friendly technologies, so that you can cost, and at the same time you have to make sure that has an impact again to your company, to your employees, to your guests, and to, of course, your neighbors, and to your society, and to the world. Basically, I see small things. For example, if you ask me what I do, a few things. It's again, it's not big things like, for example, feeding the strays. I take one of my team members, and we have this area where we feed some stray dogs. Any small things that you do, it should affect who you are, and it should affect what you want, what you're trying to do, and what you're going to give to the community. It's very important. So taking into consideration, uh, 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 I have done many things, mainly to make people feel that they are being heard, they are being, given what they requested. For example, you don't need to go very far. If you treat your staff and guests as your family, you can start internally. You can individually take your guests, see what support you can do. There are clients, they couldn't pay, they just left the hotel. It's also like a sort of a charity, like a part of your CSR. There are staffs who comes to me, and they have their own personal issues or their family back in their country, their family is facing so many issues, then I go that interested to help them. I mean, it's not that you need to create a new wheel. You have it with you. I mean, it's just that you need to make sure that, as I told you before, you have to follow those guidelines and to make sure that you don't step out from that, but being inside that, that you can do many things to make sure that your staff, your guests, and your stakeholders, your partners, everybody is happy. But I mean, they're happy with you and what you're going to do. And I can keep on going on saying how many stuff I have done. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but you need to listen from your stakeholders, like especially from your client, yes, but they are talking about me. That's what we just rightly said. When you go to Google reviews, you can see what people talk about Moon Plus. I mean, that's
Right.
how I feel that how successful you are, right? I mean, people talk about you. It's not that you talk about what you do. And there you go. And I can keep on going, but those are the basic things
Okay.
you need to stick for CSR projects.
Perfect.
Responsibility.
Super. All right. I think we've covered a lot in this discussion. I think we started with talking about bridging the communication gap. We spoke about building the sustainable model considering these times, and then how to keep your teams motivated and how to give back to the society. I think it's been a very interesting discussion where we haven't I think this is the first time in the FNB talks where we are not really going into the specifics of the P&L of the business, but we are really talking about the human side of the business. So it's been a very interesting conversation, Brian. Trust me. My next question to you would be: I think this is also coming towards the end of the discussion, where you have seen the industry grown through these years. You have worked in the market. You have worked in hotels, restaurants. You have started your own businesses, and you have seen it all. As an entrepreneur in the market, what would be your advice to people who are starting up in this business, in the hospitality business at this point of time, where pandemic has completely changed the rules of the games? What would be your advice to people who are starting up right now?
You mean as in like a person who's going to start a business,
Yeah.
or okay, okay. I mean, we all know it's a pandemic, right? I mean, we all suffer. It's not only hospitality; many industries suffer. Of course, directly hospitality suffered a lot. I know few of my colleagues gave up this industry, lost many hotels and restaurants. They started doing a food and beverage business, like consumer FMCG product, fast moving consumer food products. And I had a few of the colleagues who started doing many other, getting into other industries. This hospitality will be there forever. I mean, it's not going to go away just like that. I mean, even during pandemic, uh, as I told you from the beginning, hospitality is all about being human. As you clearly said, it's not about friendships, or it's not about DNA, or it's not about how much money you make. How good human you are during this pandemic. That makes more sense. And the second thing is, there are plenty of opportunities. I love this thing that they say. When you say crisis, there's two things to crisis. There's a pandemic and there's a crisis. When you say crisis, there's two things. One is a threat and one is an opportunity. So you can always back onto the opportunity. You can always focus on those opportunities. And yes, there are many opportunities that where you can, through this industry itself, you can come up. I mean, as I told you before, there are a lot of my colleagues are moved into FMB, food and beverage products, where still it's keep on moving. So if you are looking into in the hospitality, if you are looking into a revenue model, or if you are looking into a business model, I suggest food and beverage is the best thing to do right now, because everybody wants to eat, right? I mean, go to shopping mall, or if you go to to a grocery store, you still see people buying food, drinks. So, that industry still keep on moving. So, that is one of the industry that I see that is can still survive in this during this pandemic. If you really want to open a business or if you want to start a business, and similarly, always looking to opportunity. Even hotel, I don't say for me right now. Of course, I have quarantine business. If the quarantine stops, I already found my the next revenue generating source. The next market segment. So I am already working on it. So I make sure that I have a sustainable business coming into the hotel. So whatever the business you are going to start, I always advise my colleagues, make sure that you have another source of a sustainable business revenue coming in. Either it can be a passive income to you or whatever it is. You make sure that you at the when you're starting, you have something in your hand. Most of the businesses fail because they just have a great idea, great mindset, great whatever you call it. But sadly, end of the day, they don't have the business. So the business is very important. So you build your idea or you build your business, whatever business you want to start, look, knowing what the business is available currently. You can have the great idea, you can have everything great, but if there is no need for that particular products or services, you will not have a client in the market. So I believe that's very important before you start. And for me, when I started Moon Plaza, everybody was shocked how brand is going to survive during this pandemic. What he's going to do, how he's going to pay the rent, and how he's going to pay the staff salary, how he's going to pay his suppliers. A lot of people start asking me this question. But when I opened, I was so confident because I had business behind me, clients behind me, the suppliers who shareholders of my company, like travel agents, corporate clients, they were backing me from long time. As you really said on my introduction, I'm 20 plus in this industry. So I had that, confidence. I had that client's push. I had that client support. So it was not me as in Brian Joseph came to this stage today. It's purely because this is only a name that I carry. I didn't bring from my birth. It's given by my parents. So, this is the name that I carry. So, behind me, there are untold people like my staff, my team members, my family, everybody, shareholder, my business partner, my shareholders, the hotel owner, and, people who gave me business. It's a full family. It's all connected together. It's like a chain. So that is how I was successful up to this stage today. So I tell everybody, make sure that you have this bond between you and your family, your clients, your staff, so that in any pandemic, any difficult situation, they will not leave you. They will make sure that they give you the business and you can have a sustainable business, feeding your family, other families, and of course giving a impact, having an impact on your corporate social responsibility around you. People will always talk about you and will always look up to you that this guy will not fail, and because of him, that there are a lot of people, make a living out of it. Simply.
Perfect. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for these really inspiring words. And, truly the passion with which you, have spoken in this discussion, it speaks a lot about, the entire thought process that through which you think through a business and how you work with your teams. I truly enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure this is going to be very inspiring as well as education for our viewers as well. So I think with this, we almost come to the end of the discussion, and I just want to thank you so much, for giving us this time, and sharing all your knowledge, sharing all these inspiration, with us, and wish you all the best for the future, and as well as to you, to your family, to your team, and we really hope that this pandemic gets over very soon. So we can do the next interview maybe face to face whenever we meet. So absolutely, thanks a lot.
Of course.